The hand is the weapon and the intent is the trigger. With my spirit behind each shot, I aim to rid evil. My own life force enforces peace, but how long does it take for crime to rest? Am I cursed to be drained by my will to protect others? And why are those who exist just to harm? Crime never stops, and part of me is always missing. I am left with mad exhilaration in a cycle of fierce conflict. Firing uniqueness of the will of life, justice is enhanced by my light and power. Summoning a cannon blast by my hands of light and sending foes to the afterlife with the bluest of the sky. I am an artist of erasure. Each win gives man a chance of joy and safety, therefore my missing piece is reloaded fervor. Crime is of a bold execution, but I am born to rise to the challenge. Will this ancient quarrel ever end? How long will the strength of a lie override man's conscience? Being of Adam's seed, these questions are unknown to me. But with these arms of fire targeting for the conclusion, I will one day know the result.
Act 1 Kapow! The sound of a gun wakes up Kless from his bed. What is this? He questions as he notices blood soaking through his sheets, then sees his lover laying dead on the ground. Kless then cries in agony, trying to revive her but couldn't. Next, Kless is behind bars because they believe he killed his own wife. I didn't do it, Kless said to himself. Your facts checked out. You're free to go. As a cop opened his jail cell to let him out. When Kless walked out of the prison, he was stopped immediately by a man with a black suit with black hair. Excuse me, Kless. My name is Bishop Kandad. I was sent from Reigun to find you and welcome you to the League. I don't have time for this, Kless said, annoyed. The bullet that you shot out of your finger was a spiritual release from your ki energy. Ki can only be released physically through the fingers, palm, in some cases eyes. The bullet hole found on your wall was evidence that you are one of us. A select few who can produce energy physically from our bodies. Find someone else, Kless said as he walked away from the middle-aged man. While walking home on a busy street, Kless noticed a TV behind a class from a shop that was turned up. Kless approaches the TV because the noise of people screaming was being heard from it. They are calling it the Ing. Black humanoid shadows have been spotted all around the world recently, and they are very aggressive. If you see these shadowy figures run away, do not approach it. There has been cases of the Ing absorbing the life out of individual by touching their victims, or bear hugging them to death. We tried shooting the monster but it goes right through them. We don't know what to do, a police officer said. They seem to only want to absorb their victims after that they leave by generating a portal out of nowhere to go into. Then they're gone. How long has this been going on? Kless said out loud. For about a month now. Kless turned around to see the same man from before standing before him. You again. The Ing appearance represent a spiritual awakening of the earth for both light and dark. This is why you have the power we need to eradicate these beings that you saw. You joking, Kless said. Not even guns can penetrate those things, Kless said. No, but you can. Then the man walked off. P.S. I'm not dealing with this. Kless walks away from the TV shop heading to a bus stop. I'm finally free and the first thing I'm going to do is play Final Fantasy, Kless said to himself. Of course you can have your good old job back. Kless is talking on a phone in his bedroom. I'm glad to find out that you're innocent. I'll see you early in the morning, friend. Thanks, boss, Kless said. Next, Kless stares at his bed where the incident took place. Later he is shown throwing away the bed next to a dumpster. I rather sleep on the floor, Kless said as he's laying on a mat with covers. How in the world did this happen? Kless is looking at his palms and fingers, then turned on his side falling asleep. Next, Kless is dreaming. In the dream, Kless is looking at his hands again, but this time there is blood on them while being in his room. Then he is teleported to an empty street with many people. Where am I? Kless asked out loud. Suddenly a huge black portal is seen appearing in the sky in front of him. The portal then started to get bigger and bigger, which caused him to run away. While he is running, the people there are still there minding their business as if nothing is happening. The portal soon engulfed the whole world in his nightmare in seconds, covering everything in complete darkness. I can't see a thing, Kless said. Afterwards, instantly a large flare the size of a mountain flickered, which brightened the world, temporarily revealing the whole street he is on. When the flare disappeared, he woke up and confounded. Act 2. While sitting on a bench waiting, a man in his early 20s Saturday right next to him. Kless, oh my gosh, is that you? The young man said. What's up, Zane? Kless said. I thought you were in prison. I was let go on bail from $1 billion bond. No kidding. Yeah, from a company called Raycor. Raycor, I've never heard of that. Anyway, what's the deal with this atmosphere? It feels like it's still evening. You haven't noticed? While you were locked down, crazy stuff has been happening all over. We're in a permanent twilight that no one is able to explain. Dark creatures have been showing up and people have been losing their minds. How so? Crime has increased dramatically like mad. Some are saying that they are just reacting crazy because of the twilight, others are saying that they're scared. How long has it been like this? About a month. That's the same time that light shot from my fingers and killed Maria. What did you say? Nothing. Next, Kless goes in a hotel and starts mopping the floor of the lobby. Great to have you back with us, a fellow coworker said as he waved. After Kless got done mopping, he then went outside to the parking lot to stare at the sky from the top floor. I can get used to this, Kless said while staring at the twilight everywhere as the noise of a helicopter is heard far away. My hand's been getting kinda stiff lately. I don't know what's wrong with me. While Kless is sweeping the roof, a giant sphere of darkness appeared above him, then 4 humanoid black figures jumped out of the portal on the roof suddenly. They walked in an unorthodox fashion, for clearly they were not usual humans, and walked as if they were zombies. Their bodies were covered in black light that looked like scribbles moving rapidly, and they had glowing orange eyes. As they started to run towards Kless then ran as fast as he could to the opposite side of the parking lot. Darn it. I can't escape or I'll fall off. I guess I'm gonna die. Kless notices a broken parking sign on the floor, picks it up and throws it like a javelin at the creatures, but it goes right through one of the monsters. A helicopter can be heard louder and louder with each step of the ink moving towards Kless. Hey kid, using a megaphone, Kless looked at the direction of the helicopter above him, which was extremely loud. Catch. Suddenly an unusual white gun was thrown to Kless from the helicopter as the helicopter hovered beside Kless. He caught the gun and positioned the weapon at the monsters. Kless says in his mind. This gun. There's something about it. It's organic. Kless then looks back at the helicopter that was getting even more closer and notices a man wearing all black with black sunglasses, for the door was wide open. Just shoot it, he said through the megaphone. Kless grips the gun even harder and aimed it at the ing in the middle. Here goes nothing, Kless said, and was immediately surprised after he pulled the trigger. A big blue laser-like beam shot out of the gun, making a giant hole in the monster. Then the ing fell on the ground and evaporated. Kless was amazed because he never experienced a gun quite like it. The other 2 ing kept on running towards him. Keep firing, the man said from the helicopter. They're too fast, Kless said out loud. He shot the other ing in the head with the gun, shooting out the same sky blue light which completely incinerated the head of the ing, splattering its black blood on his clothing. They're too close, Kless said. Dang, I can't help him, the man said as he looked on worried. Die, the ing yelled monstrously as it punched Kless to the ground. The ing can speak? No way, the man with the glasses said in his mind. The other ing got on the back of Kless and started to absorb him just like what he saw on the TV. After 2 minutes, Kless passes out on the ground. As the ing was absorbing Kless, it started to become taller, then horns came out of its head and then it started to sprout bat-like wings. It's evolving, the man said. After its transformation, they left Kless on the floor as they walked to the other side of the parking lot's roof. The man jumped out of the helicopter into the roof where Kless is to feel his pulse while the helicopter parked the vehicle some distance on the right of them. The man in black then got on his headset and spoke to his microphone. The subject is dead. The same giant portal appeared as if someone was watching and planning their trip back to where they came from. The helicopter landed successfully on the roof and the middle-aged pilot with curly black hair with a blue jacket ran to the body of Kless. We lost the kid. As the ing was walking forward, they noticed one of Kless's coworkers on the roof as well. Go absorb her, the stronger one with horns said. No, the man in the glasses screamed with his arm stretched out in her direction. Suddenly heat was felt from the body of Kless. So hot the 2 men next to them felt the heat radiating from him as if they were standing next to a mini sun. Kless' body started to glow in orange light, then both his hands were on fire. What in the world is happening to you? The pilot looked on puzzled and scared. While laying on the ground, Kless opened his eyes, which immediately changed to a beet red color. When he did, the flames from his hands disappeared and his hair changed to the color red as soon as he awoke. The two men was more infatuated with Kless's transformation than the girl that was on the roof. While laying down, Kless noticed the Ing chasing the girl and reached for the gun that was next to him on the floor. I got to help her, Kless said and stood up, aiming the gun to shoot the fiend. If I miss this shot, she's dead. While squeezing the trigger slowly, a blue energy ball was inflating slowly in front of the gun's barrel. The two men looked at the gun, frozen with amazement because they have never seen anything like it. What's the heck happening to this gun? Kless said in his mind as his hand starts to shake a little because of fear. It's like the more I concentrate, the stronger this glowing sphere gets. I have to calm my nerves, so I can steady the gun, but what if I miss? What's happening to this gun? Kless said out loud while concentrating. Don't freak out, Kless, the man in glasses said. You only have one shot to save her. If you miss, she dies. When Kless heard those words, it calmed his surprise of the blue ball of light that was very mysterious and awesome to look at. Suddenly his trigger hand was steady. I'm ready. A gust of wind blew on Kless strongly, which brought up the smell of the previous Ing's decayed flesh that lingered on his clothes. Sanitize, Kless shouted. The sound of a loud eagle-like bird was heard supernaturally as the ball of blue energy the size of a cannonball shot through the chest of the Ing. The sphere of light kept on going and exploded when it hit another hotel across the street, creating a loud explosion like a bomb. The heartless Ing instantly turned into many mini indigo cubes as the girl screamed for her life for the ball of light, and the dead Ing traumatized the poor girl. Kill the other one quick, the pilot said. Kless then aimed his weapon in the air with his flaming hair and beet red eyes and focused on shooting the horned Ing as another cannonball of light was growing bigger and bigger. The winged Ing started to fly away to get to the portal for fear of being killed. Fire at will, the man with the shades yelled. Kless shot at the creature as the same sound of a mysterious bird was heard accompanying the shot, but instead of the cannonball looking blue, it looked like a giant ball of fire. It changed and it is stronger, the pilot said, excited. The Ing flew with its bat-like wings away from the predicted line of fire, but the energy shot started to follow the Ing in the air, which surprised the Ing. What is he? The Ing said, scared while being chased by the deadly light. A homing attack, Kless said, surprised as he lowered the gun. I can't believe it, it's following me. The blast followed the Ing in the air for a little, while moving further and further away from the men. I cannot shake it, the horned Ing said. No. The blast caught up to creature and exploded upon contact as small aura-like marbles fell from the sky like rain, hitting the vehicles of parked cars below. Act 3, you did it, kid, the pilot said. What in the world are you? The man in black asked, for he looked like an otherworldly creature with beet red eyes and cool red hair. Immediately his hair changed back to black and his eyes reverted to its original color as he fell to the ground. He used too much power, the pilot said as he checked his pulse. He's still alive, let's take him home. Kless woke up from laying on his back. I'm in my room, but how did I get here? Kless got up from laying on his floor mat and headed to the bathroom. Did all that really happen? Evil spirits, agents, and that crazy gun. What a day that was, but I don't remember what happened afterwards, Kless said out loud while looking in the mirror. After Kless took his shower and changed into a fresh pair of clothes. What's the deal with this twilight? While looking at the sky from his apartment, reflecting on what happened, a helicopter is seen heading closer and closer to his balcony. All of a sudden the sound of another helicopter could be heard loudly as a giant dark portal appeared about the size of a house. A massive dark Ing looking like a humanoid beetle emerged inside it and flew out of the portal. You got to be kidding, Kless said, dumbfounded with fear. Those who saw the creature started to scream and run. Others were just frozen with terror. Attention, evacuate the area immediately. A person warned citizens to flee with a megaphone from within a black van that approached the scene. 3 black vans pulled up to the scene on the street. From the height of his apartment, Kless looked on from the highest floor. The beetle man started to smash buildings with its horn, creating mayhem as one of the black vans drove close to it. Surprisingly, bullets of white light was seen constantly hitting the body of the Ing as it growled because of the pain. A woman wearing all black with black glasses was shooting the creature standing by one of the vans. "Focus on me," she yelled. "It can be harmed." Someone questioned from a crowd while looking on at this fiction-like movie scene. The giant beetle man jumped up and flew around trying to dodge the attacks as the woman kept shooting it with her light. "Come with us?" A voice was heard as the same man that Kless saw earlier when he was released from prison was standing behind him. "You again. How did you get in here? They are tracking you now because of your gift. You have to come with us now." All of a sudden the apartment building was smashed with the horn of the ing, creating earthquake-like experience for the two as they both fell on the ground due to the impact. "Boss, do you read me?" The man got up from the quake to adjust his headset. "Get out of there now. The building is sliced in half. Come with me, Kless." The man ran out of the apartment and Kless followed, exiting the building while two vans awaited their arrival on the street. "Get in, Kless." As they drove off with high speed trying to get away from creature, the sounds of the gunner was making an impact as the sounds of the beetle suffering was still heard loudly. After 3 minutes of driving, Kless broke his silence. "What in the world is that thing?" Kless asked while sitting in the back seat. "That thing is a higher class of ing. The ones you killed yesterday were just pawns. They want to absorb you because it will make them stronger." "Why me?" "Because you have the guardian spirit. The one we need to turn the tide of battle." "Bishop, I can't hold him, he's coming your way." The woman from the shooting can be heard from his headset. When Bishop looked back he could see the flying beetle ing chasing the vans. "You're not getting away," the creature said demonically. With a cool voice, while speaking to his headset, "It's your turn, Ace." Suddenly the black van that was behind them drove backwards in reverse, then turned to the side of the road. A man with blonde hair jumped out of the top of the van's roof window and started shooting the ing with his gun of light bullets which looked similar to the woman's. While driving at high speed, a very loud explosion was heard as a white light flickered the atmosphere. "What was that?" Kless asked, shocked. "We call him Bomber. Don't worry, he's a professional. This cannot be happening. Thanks for rescuing me for the second time." After 30 minutes of driving, the van parked to the side of the road surrounded by a grassy plain. On the far right, there was an even better, more lustrous helicopter parked in a tall grassy field nearby. The driver, Kless, and Bishop entered the helicopter, filling all of the seats available. "Where are we going?" "To our headquarters," the driver said. "It's going to be a while." Kless sits down and was astonished by the driver in front of him. "Zane. I can't believe it." Zane laughs hysterically. "I was wondering when you will notice." "What are you doing here?" "I'm an agent. I woke up with these powers and now I'm here." "How long have you been working with Reigun?" 2 weeks. It was I that told Bishop about you and we bailed you out. We spied on you so that we may keep you safe after you were let out, Bishop said. The helicopter started to fly off into the air and off it went straight ahead. I wanted to help you on the roof, but there was another ing in the city I had to take care of. I know you have ton of questions, Bishop said. What are those evil things? Those things are parasitic bacteria. Somehow they are producing these demonic younglings. They are born corrupt like some kind of dark magic and only live to destroy. Germs are designed to decompose dead and dying material. They are our planet's recycles and without them, life on Earth couldn't exist. But there is a spiritual side to this system, hidden from Mont's understanding. According to our sources, these humanoid germs has 10 elite ing under the original germ, but we only have 4 that can take them down, including you. That's why we need your help, and that is why you are born to get rid of them. How do you know this? Kless said. I was once an ing. What? You were one of them? How? I don't know if you have heard of me, but I was not a very good man. Wait a second, Bishop. Bishop Candad, the one who had multiple charges of narcotics trafficking? In the flesh. I let greed override my consciousness, even though I already had so much. He's one of the richest dudes in the world, Zane said, excited. I didn't care if people lived or died. I did so many horrible things with the money I had and it corrupted me. Each day I started to slowly feel this evil in my heart. Then one day I completely transformed into a ing and I was controlled. I don't remember being a pawn, but I do remember this giant bird set me free. That same power is in you now, I just know it. I don't know what happened when I was a ing pawn. There are some cases that the ing would absorb people's life force and turn them into a fiend like them. I was one of them. Unbelievable, Kless said, puzzled. Ever since the Guardian set me free, I devoted my whole life to combat these demons, on the side of good for humanity's sake. Zane said, crime has exploded like mad because of the Ing's influence. We are entering the wormhole now, the pilot said loudly. Look outside, Kless, Zane said. Suddenly the atmosphere changed to a dark purple light. For the helicopter entered into a portal similar to the Ing's. What is this? Think of it like a wormhole. After a minute of flying straight through this giant portal, the helicopter was all of a sudden hovering over an island filled with navy blue buildings. We are home, Zane said as the helicopter descended on the launch pad. Come with me, Bishop said. Kless followed Bishop along with the pilot and Zane through a lustrous building big as a mansion. Welcome to our headquarters, Bishop said with his hands up in the air. It's totally empty. Bishop laughed. Yes indeed. We have just started the agency, but we will soon expand. One question, where are we again? Japan, Zane said. How? We'll talk about all this crazy stuff some more. Till then, Zane, please take him to one of the guests' rooms. I need to check up on the others. This way, man. Zane led Kless to a room after a long walk, for the building was very huge. What made you join up with those guys? Zane walked up to the massive size window and started to unravel an alien-looking blue and white sniper rifle from the bag on his back. Kless stood there in awe as Zane assembled the gun quickly and pointed the weapon outside the window. Do you see that sign over there? I see it. Zane shot the weapon as it gave off a loud sound he never heard before hitting the sign far away. Yours is green? The color of my spirit, Zane said. It's a specialized gun. Our powers come from our palms and fingers, so the gun's handle absorbs a bit of our spiritual energy and shoots it out of the barrel. Sweet, Kless said happily. Indeed, cousin. Wanna play some tennis? We have a court indoors. Definitely. Kless and his cousin have played the sport for a good hour, but our hero started to have a problem. Zane hit the ball with his racket, and as Kless ran toward the ball, it instead hits him on the forehead. Ouch. Whoops, you okay, man? Yeah, I'm fine, it's just my eyes are feeling stiff. Zane gave Kless medicine and pleaded for him to go to sleep. I don't know what's wrong with me, Kless said to Bishop, while laying on the bed. My eyes feel stiff, everything is blurry from far away. It's like I'm nearsighted. Close your eyes and sleep, we'll bring you to the doctors in the morning. In the middle of the night, Kless woke up unable to sleep. The second he opened his eyes, he noticed a faraway light nearby. Kless closed his eyes again to see it again, and there was a red shining light within himself and far away. When Kless opened his eyes, he screamed shortly in shock. What in the world is this? Every time I close my eyes I see this light from a distance. Not only that, but I can see these white flakes forming every material thing. I should be scared, but this is cool. Kless, while his eyes closed, walked toward the light carefully, and it led to Zane, sleeping on a bed. Infrared? This is like infrared. Kless walked back to his room with more confidence with his eyes closed, for he has gotten used to his new power quickly. That must be Bishop's light. So he has powers too? Kless said in his mind while looking through his wall with his eyes closed. Then what is this purple light? Kless followed the purple light outdoors across the street in the darkness of the night. When he got close enough, he opened his eyes, and it was a spider like Ing hidden in the trees. Act 5. Kless then started to run to the opposite direction back to base. A web string shoots into the air and tries to hit Kless, but it misses. Suddenly, the spider Ing started to chase Kless as 10 more spider-type Ing followed behind the biggest one looking as tall as a truck. They know that we're here. Kless yelled. Surprisingly, his message was heard so loudly, it seemed that everyone in the whole world heard his voice. Kless was startled because his voice was louder than a siren from a fire truck, but had to keep on running for his life. Seconds later, multiple alarms came on as Kless runs to the base. Kless trips on the ground as the giant spider got closer to him. I'm gonna be spider food. Up closer, he notices the spider's 8 eyes were slightly glowing orange and looked very similar to the Brazilian wandering spider, but covered in darkness just like the humanoid Ing. All of a sudden a green light shot at the head of the spider-ing like a laser, killing it instantly. This startled the other spiders as they ran into random direction for fear of being shot. Kless looked up to the direction of the shot and saw Zane shooting at multiple spiders with his light. "Get up, Kless," Zane yelled out the window. "I can't move. They look like real-life monsters." Suddenly a bomb was heard on the battlefield. The same woman Kless saw before shooting the giant ing but with normal attire ran beside him. "He's in shock. You have to snap out of it." "I'm okay," Kless said. "You'll be all right." The woman chased the ing with her firearm. "What are these things? I almost died." Bishop ran towards Kless holding the same gun that he used before. "Only you can help them. If we don't exterminate these vermin, they will take over the world." Kless got up and took the gun from Bishop, then ran next to Bomber and the woman on the battlefield. "You're late," Bomber said to Kless with a smile. The street and the front lawn of Reigun was filled with green blood and the bodies of the dead spiders. "How did they find us?" the woman said to Bomber. Bishop and Zane then walked up to the warriors equipped with their exotic guns. "Case closed, I guess," Bishop said to them. Kless looked at the forest across from them and closed his eyes. While in his secondary sight he notices 3 more shining lights within the woods. "What are you doing, man? Meditating?" Kless then opened his eyes and sees everyone looking at him curiously. "There are more hidden within the trees." "How do you know?" the woman asked. "I can see in the dark. Kinda. When I close my eyes I can see where the ing is hiding based off of their dark light." "That's awesome," Bomber said. "Since when?" Zane asked. "It's the Guardian," Bishop said. "It must be helping you. If we don't kill them now, soon our entire base will be ambushed. Please, Kless, we need your help to vanquish them. Normal bullets cannot harm them." Act 6. Kless, Bomber, Zane and the woman are inside of the forest walking to find the ing. "This is suicide," Zane said. "No, it isn't. The twilight is rising, we can still see," Bomber said. "I forgot to ask, why is it always twilight during the morning, afternoon and evening?" Bomber, while in front of him, turned around at him and showed him his hand with his palm facing up. Then it started to shine a white light. "This is why," Bomber said, "there is no balance in the world and we are losing ground spiritually. It just means that darkness is winning and the light of the world is fighting to keep the darkness at bay." "To the point," Zane said, smiling. "How close are we, cousin?" Kless stopped walking and closed his eyes. "One of them is close." "Quick, Zane, give me your sniper rifle." Kless positioned his sniper on top of a tree branch. He then closed his eyes to line up where the spider's aura was located. "Are you seriously going to shoot with your eyes closed?" Zane said. When he fired the gun, it shot out a brilliant yellow laser light as the sound of the phoenix followed the blast. Kless, with his eyes closed, saw that he shot the tree trunk beside the creature instead and sees it running away because of fear. "I missed," Kless said, opening his eyes. Seconds later, multiple explosions went off as if there were fireworks all around where he had shot the target. "What's that noise?" the woman said with shock. Kless closes his eyes and sees that his shot created multiple firework blasts made of the same light. "It's like a scatter shot," Kless said. The ing's light slowly diminishes then vanished. Kless opens his eyes again. "I think I got him. That was cool and all, but now they know that we're here," Bomber said. "He needs to hone his abilities, but that was very cool." After 20 minutes of walking, Kless announces that the 2 ing left are nearby up front. "Bomber, throw your incendiary in the center of the pond at your 2 o'clock. "With pleasure," he whispered. Bomber focused, storing energy into his hands as a smoky ball of white light began to form. "Eat this." The grenade landed in the pond, which caused a loud explosion. A monster crying out in pain can be heard because of the blast. "I got him," Bomber said, excited. "Nice," Zane said, excited. Kless closed his eyes again, but doesn't see the other light. "No, it's still alive, and I can't find the other ing." "Nice shot." A humanoid owl was standing behind them, about 12 foot tall. The woman immediately shot at the ing, but it disappeared. "Great, it can turn invisible," Bomber said, annoyed. Kless closed his eyes and said, "Guys, we have company." While looking at the direction of the pond, a giant spider crab with green blood leaking from its back was running towards the crew. Everyone shot at the creature with its guns, but for some reason it had a shield-like body that was protecting itself from their lights. Spread out, Zane said, and the team split into 4-4 direction like a compass. The crab spider Ing followed the woman as she shot backwards as she ran, slowing down the fiend. Zane, while hiding on the east, ready his sniper to aim at the crab Ing, but was hit to the face by the owlman. Kless stopped running southward and ran back to help the woman by shooting the creature with his unique weapon. Bomber stood there watching, hiding behind some boulders. If I use my power I could kill her too, Bomber said, clutching his fists. Why aren't our guns killing it? Kless questioned himself while shooting. I have to use that cannon fire like I did before. If I concentrate and slowly pull the trigger, maybe it will happen again. Kless concentrates while aiming the weapon at the crab spider as a giant fireball was formed at the barrel of his gun. You're mine. Look this way, Kless said out loud. The woman, Bomber, and even the spider Ing stopped and looked at his direction, for it was as loud as a siren. Kless shoots the fireball right through the Ing as it exploded into black cubes and guts which splattered on her body. The fireball eventually hit a tree which caused it to explode like a grenade. Kless and Bomber ran toward the woman to see if she was safe. Are you all right, Serene? Bomber asked in front of her. I'm okay, but what in the world was that fireball, Kless? I never seen anything like that before. While Kless was looking at his gun in mystery, I noticed that the light can turn fiery when in desperate situations. I did not want you to die, so the shot was a huge fireball. Wait a minute, where is Zane? Bomber asked. It's too late, humans. The team heard the fiend's voice but could not see it. Where is he? Serene asked, looking around. Kless, can you pinpoint his location? Act 6. Kless closes his eyes and looks in all directions speedily. He looked up and he sees 2 lights in the air above the 3. Above, Kless announced. The owlman was carrying Zane on his shoulder but looked slightly different. Put him down, monster, Kless yelled. The humanoid owl Ing dropped Zane as his lifeless body aimed for the ground. Bomber catches him before hitting the ground, which made him fall instead. Is he dead? Serene asked. He's still alive, Bomber said while checking his pulse. Look at him, he looks slightly different. Serene said while looking at the levitating being. He absorbed Zane, that's why he looks different. Kless said. Yes, and I feel great. I want to absorb some more, but I have to wait for about a week in order to absorb more of your light. Until then, take a look at my new abilities, for I have gotten much stronger. The Ing telepathically shot multiple purple lasers at the team as they ran in different directions. One of the lasers pierced Bomber's right shoulder. This hurts like heck, but I have to keep moving, Bomber said to himself while holding his bloody shoulder. Kless shot back at the owlman as it flew to avoid being attacked. It seemed as if his new transformation made him 10 times faster. Get back here, he said with a shout as loud as an ambulance. Serene, keep shooting, buy me some time. While she kept shooting, Kless charged his homing cannon once more. Fire. The fireball followed the owl for about a minute, for it seemed as if the flying owl and the homing attack had the same exact speed. Meanwhile, Kless ran to Serene as she was in awe of the fireball chasing the fiend. He's toast, Kless said confidently to her. I can't shake it, the owlman screamed with fear. What is this? It's as if it's alive. Bomber walks toward the 2 waiting for the shot to hit its target. He's gonna be bird food, Bomber said. Now's our chance, we have to retreat. Serene said, let's grab Zane and get out of here. After 2 minutes of walking through the woods, a loud explosion was heard miles away. Got him, Kless said happily. That's amazing, Serene said while carrying Zane with her left arm. Later, the team finally got out of the forest but notices the owl fiend standing in front of Reigun, reduced to rubble with half of his upper body and head blown off. Bishop, the pilot, Kless said, surprised. This can't be happening, Bomber said while holding his arm that got shot. You took my face, so I took your building. The owlman said. You see, I have already absorbed one of your friends in Brazil. The one who tried to spy on our location. And your pal there helped me with this second transformation, which enabled me to survive the attack. You monster. They killed Billy, that's why the twilight increased into the afternoon. Serene said angrily. Act 7. We'll call this battle a draw, but I'll be back for you all. The owlman said, flying upward into the sky as a portal opened up and teleported him to another place. The portal disappeared seconds after he left. All of a sudden fire trucks came on the scene as firemen came out to water the wild flames. "Oh my gosh, where is Bishop?" Serene asked while covering her mouth with fear. "He's dead, Serene," Zane said to her sadly, putting his hand on her shoulder. The whole team watched the raging flames dumbfounded and upset. "He was a good guy," Kless said to himself looking downward. "What's that light?" a fireman said, pointing at the entrance of the burned-down doors. Moving forward slowly, coming out of the flames, was a blue light. "What in the world?" Bomber said with surprise. "Be on guard, guys, it could be a new enemy," Zane said, aiming his gun at the light. The firefighters ran away, for fear of the light, for they have never seen such a thing. Zane shot at the light with his gun, but the light repelled the shot, sending back at Zane, but misses because it hit the ground next to his feet. Serene, Kless readied their weapons by aiming it at the light. As the light moved closer, exiting the building of Reigun, it revealed a man inside of a fiery blue-like crystal. "Bishop!" Zane yelled excitedly. "Materialization!" Bishop said inside the fiery crystal. "You're alive," Kless said while smiling as if he won the lottery and lowering his gun. "I don't know if I should be frightened or happy. What is this light?" Serene said to Bishop. "It protected me from the attack of the Ing. It covered me like it was natural right when the ceiling almost fell on my head. The Phoenix, it protected me. I don't know how to turn it off." "You'll probably suffocate in there," Kless said. "Try getting away from the fire." "Our powers, I know now that it reacts to how we feel, of the dangers around us." The five moved away to the flames across the street as the shield slowly diminished, then it disappeared. "Pilot is dead," Bishop said sadly. "But our ride should be coming to our location." "Where do we go now?" They knew our location. "I have another base on another island we can stay. Come, let us walk to the east so they can pick us up." As they walked closer to a mountain, a narrow-body aircraft was heard from afar. It landed on the street across Reigun as it moved forward on wheels towards the team. "Nice, a airplane," Serene said excitedly. "How can you afford all this stuff?" "Bishop," Zane asked. Bishop smiled while they walked toward the plane. "I wasn't perfect, but I had a honest business before the drugs. I used to be a hacker and I'm here to." Zane said. "What are you in for, Bomber?" "I was a thief," Bomber said dejectedly. "Nobody's perfect," Bishop said. "We are all misfits." "You are all crazy," Serene said. Everyone laughed. Later they all sat in their seats as the plane took off into the air. "So they did kill Billy," Bishop said. "Yes," Serene said, "that is why the twilight extended into day." "What do we do now?" Kless asked. Bishop said, "We shall be patient, it's like a chess game." "At least Kless here killed one of their generals." "How many are we dealing with again?" Zane asked. "The Guardian revealed to me in a vision. There were 10 dark lights lined up and 9 white lights lined up on opposite sides against each other. One of them was red, which was in the middle. And behind the dark lights was a powerful light that was way bigger than the rest behind the dark lights. That is the original germ. If they killed Billy and we have killed one of theirs, that means that we are tied. It looks like you awoke in your light recently, so you're one of us," Serene said. "Yes," Bishop said, smiling happily. "But we have to find the other warriors of light so we can put an end to these random Ing attacks. I'm meeting with the president Tuesday." "Excuse me," Kless said. "I'm sorry, I know you were speaking, but can you drop me off, so I can go to work?" "Are you crazy?" Zane said to him, surprised. "Yes, I am. You're rolling with Bishop and you want to keep your stinking job," Zane said. "We'll pay you if you would change your occupation. There are germs that need killing," Kless said with a smile. "You can't go back, they would just attack you again," Serene said. "Please forgive my overly dedicated cousin," Zane said. "Were you a janitor or some sort?" Bishop asked. "I guess you can say that. I'm a lobbyist assigned janitorial duties, then you are a guardian. Janitor and guardian are semantically related. You are the red light I've been searching for." Approaching Reigun portal. An announcement was said over the intercom by the pilot. "This never gets old," Bomber said while looking out the window, seeing purple portal from within. As the plane exited the portal, it descended downward on a street. Kless looks outside his window and sees another huge building very similar to one they stayed in. "Where are we now?" Kless asked. "Osaka, Japan." The team exited the plane and went through the building of Reigun. Surprisingly, there was a man sitting down at a small table on the right next to two men in black suits. The man that was sitting down saw the team and walked towards them with a smile. "The President of the United States," Zane said, stupefied. "Good to finally met you, Bishop," the President said, shaking his hand. Act 8. Later, the team is sitting down at a dinner table eating breakfast served by two maids. "This is a dire situation. Our forces stand no chance against these creatures, and it seems that only you can put a hole in these monsters. I'm here to ask you for Recor to be the main defense against the Ing for our country." Bomber grins angrily. "I am flattered, Mr. President," Bishop said, "but there are only 5 of us, and we can't defeat every monster that show up. We have to rely on the Guardian Spirit to direct us in this war." "Please, sir," Present said, "I'm not into your spirituality. All I am asking is that you combine your forces with our defenses, then maybe we can somehow stand a chance." Bomber banged his right fist on the table angrily. "Careful with that patched-up arm," Serene said. "You only care about yourself. And all you want to do is use us to be your personal bodyguards," Bomber said. "Easy, Bomber," Serene said. "It was because of you I had a rough life. And it was because of you I resulted into thievery." The President laughed. "I don't know who you are, young man, but you're a right. I could use a strong bodyguard like yourself to protect me from these monsters." Bomber got up and exited the room. "What's with him?" Zane asked. "Back to the task at hand. Crime has increased 100-fold, for some reason, and the Ing are cited more in America than any other country. We tried to keep quiet about our foes, but the Ing, they have weapons." "What?" Kless said, shocked. "You heard right, there has been several sightings of these things shooting black projectiles with their arms like a cannon. They're revolving," Bishop said. "We tried to keep the media out of this because if word got out about these attacks, the entire country will go insane. Please, I'm begging you. You must help. Like I said, there are only 5 of us, we cannot kill every Ing for you. Only the Phoenix can guide us in this war." "Bishop," Kless interrupted, "I have an idea. When I was a lobbyist, 2 days a week I had to thoroughly clean the bathrooms with a battery-powered cleaning caddy equipped with refillable sanitizers, vacuum and a gun for spraying the disinfecting acids. Bathroom cleaners protects against microorganisms. If we are going to war against bacteria, then we need to be able to reload our guns with more sanitizers." "He's right," Bishop said. Kless continues talking. "Energy is always replenished. What if our spiritual energy can be stored for mass quantities so many others can shoot and kill the germs?" The President slammed both fists on the table. "That's it," he said. "You're a genius," Zane said. "But how?" Serene asked. "We should be able to do it," Bishop said. "The gun that we have created is able to draw the spiritual power from the palm or fingers in and out the barrel. Maybe we somehow transfer the light for containment." "Fine, we accept your terms, but only if the Phoenix will guide us through this all," President Blake Johnson, Bishop said. "It keeps getting worse. Policemen are abandoning their work because of fear all around the world. When these things possess a person, they become ghostly, which make it impossible for our weapons to stop them. They feed on every crime imaginable and are no longer themselves." Serene asks, "Do we know what causes people to transform into the Ing?" "So far nothing. Maybe it has something to do with the twilight. When a person's mind is taken over, they can't help but to do something crazy, sometimes multiple times, then they disappear into this portal. It's madness. There's been cases of theft, murder, driving beyond the speed limit, kidnappings, you name it. And every person we send to deal with them just end up dying by absorption or beaten to death. No one can stop them but you all. If this threat is not contained, it will permanently put fear in our citizens' hearts. America's fate is now in your hands. I have to go now. I have another appointment to keep concerning these dreadful things." "Thank you, Mr. President," Bishop said. The President and his bodyguards left the building. Bishop stood up from his seat. "Team meeting at 2 o'clock. Bishop said. "Yes, sir," Serene said. The others nodded. Then they all started to exit the room. "Come on, Kless, up for some basketball?" Zane asked excitedly. "Hopefully I won't hit your head again." Everyone laughed, including Kless, as they went their way. "What was the deal with Bomber?" Kless asked Zane while shooting hoops. Zane, while sitting on a bench beside the court, responds. "Bomber lived in a old town called Breezewood that was quarantined. There was an outbreak of multiple ing causing chaos for almost a month. The police, not even the army, could stop them. So the president gave the order to completely destroy it with a nuke. Kless stopped shooting and looked at Zane sad. I was locked up, so I had no idea of this. Kless said. Bomber somehow survived, and the nuclear explosion didn't even kill the ing, only the people. Don't tell him I told you though. Bomber. What's up? Zane and Kless turned around and sees Bomber and Serene walking towards them. Speaking of which, Zane said. Kless, we was just wondering if you would like to train with us a bit. What kind of training? Kless asked. Bring your gun and follow, Bomber said. Kless, Serene, Bomber, and Zane are outside at a shooting range behind Reigun with metal targets lined up in columns. To each their own, they shot their targets, but Kless missed the bullseye each time. Bomber, which was closet to him, walked to him to see how he was doing. Hey Birdman, how's it going? Because his gun sounds like a eagle each shot. I keep missing, Kless says, lowering his gun. Try imagining yourself pulling the target towards you the second before you shoot. Kless aimed his weapon again at the target and misses it completely, shooting outside of the target. That usually works for me. Bomber said. When I shoot these things, I want to imagine them as the filthing are. Kless aims at the target. I don't want them to come near me. Kless then shoots the bullseye perfectly. Kless smiles. Yes, I got it. Not all ing are monsters, you know. Bomber walks back to his column. What's with him? Kless asked in his mind while staring at Bomber walking. It's like we're complete opposites. Time's up, guys, Serene announces. It's meeting time. Conference postpone. We have a local dilemma. Bishop says to the team, standing up with his arms behind his back as the gunners are sitting by a large office table. The ing are terrorizing Tokyo. Civilians are reporting vandalism, shoplifting, and a tengu-like ing in the mountains. A tengu? Zane questioned awkwardly. The entire police force is freaked. Japan only have few good men, but they are useless against them. Kless, I'm afraid I must ask you to slay the tengu one. I believe it is a elite and only you can kill it with your homing cannon. That's not true, Zane said childishly. I can take him. Bomber, you will go with Kless, Serene, and Zane will handle the other two. We have to take care of this now. The more we wait, the more lives will be lost. Let's move out, Serene said. We'll postpone our meeting, let's cleanse these germs. Bishop said. The team are riding in a limousine with black suits and sunglasses, but Kless doesn't have on glasses. They are all sitting on the last seats in the back of the vehicle. Suddenly they hear people screaming in terror. They all looked out the window to see a white ing spraying graffiti. Graffiti is art. Graffiti is love. The ing said to himself while spraying. This one's yours, Serene. Zane said. I'm on it. She got out of limousine and starts shooting. The ing growled at her with his shark-like fangs, then runs weirdly towards her. Will she be okay? Kless asks. She's a professional like you, Zane said, smiling. You're up next, Zane, the driver announced through the limousine's radio. The roof is all yours. There are 2 ing stealing from that outdoor fair. Aw yeah, Zane says. He exited the vehicle, running to the parking lot for high ground. After 5 minutes of driving, Kless says to Bomber. So what's our strategy for eliminating the tengu? Simple, we just blow it up, but wouldn't it have wings? Maybe we should try to flank it. Bomber just keeps quiet, looking back at the window. The sound of a strong wind was heard abruptly and the limousine started to fly into the air some feet. What's going on? Kless said, worried. Then the limousine began to spin out of control in the air 5 feet, then hit the ground, rolling over on its side. The driver, Kless, and Bomber climbed out of the damaged vehicle that is upside down from the windows. Driver. You're on your own. I'm out of here. The driver ran away. Tisk, coward. Now where is he? Bomber asked. Kless closed his eyes, looking at the surrounding from within. He's underground. What? Bomber asked, shocked. There are abandoned underground tunnels near these mountains. He's peeking at us beyond this tree. He's mine, Bomber said as he rushes to the tree. Wait, Kless yelled, we have to attack from afar. We don't know how powerful it is. Suddenly Bomber was blown away by a gust of wind, then fell on his back. The tengu came out of the tunnel and revealed itself walking from behind the tree where Kless could see it. The tengu ing was the same size as an average human, but with a black bird head and black wings, wearing traditional Japanese clothing. Hello, Reigun. the Ing said. The Tengu walked towards Kless with murder in his eyes. Kless backs away slowly as he shoots 2 times, missing it. All of a sudden, Bomber's light grenade was seen in the air, thrown in the middle of the two, and immediately the explosion sent Kless flying in the air, then hitting the ground as the Tengu flew upwards unharmed. My bad, Bomber yelled. We have to work together, Kless said angrily. You trying to get us both killed? It can fly. Heads up, Bomber says. The Ing started to throw kunai from above. Kless got out of the way, running northward as Bomber tries to shoot the Tengu in the air, which made it stop attacking Kless. The Tengu flew higher upward to avoid Bomber's shots. He's fast, Bomber said. Immediately the Tengu flew with high speed towards Bomber. Take cover, Kless said extremely loud, but he just stood there shooting. In Kless's mind, if I turn my back now to run, he will surely kill me because it's fast. I have to finish this now. Kless gave an surprised look because he read Bomber's desperate thoughts from his mind. The Ing stopped flying. Achoo! A big whirlwind generated from his mouth and got bigger and bigger as it moved towards Bomber. I am not done yet, in your face. Bomber threw his light grenade at the heart of the whirlwind wind, knowing that the blast will hurt him too. This is for you, Brittany. Then suddenly, as the whirlwind moved closer to him, engulfing his explosive, a ball of fire collided with his light grenade, making a loud explosion, sending Bomber flying backwards 14 feet, then hitting the ground. Immediately the whirlwind turned into a wide firenado and moved quickly upwards towards the Tengu. The Tengu flew in the opposite direction, scared, but the flames caught the Tengu, for it was a homing attack as well. The Tengu screams while being burned alive. As the firenado twisted furiously, Bomber looked on while standing. What is going on, he said, amazed. Kless' eyes started to glow red. Incinerate. Bomber looked at Kless's direction, for he was extremely loud. Immediately the firenado exploded with a loud bang, the moment Kless spoke. Half of the Tengu's burnt body covered with smoke fell on the ground some feet after the blast, then the firenado subsided, then disappeared straight away. We got him, Bomber yelled cheerfully, running towards Kless. We make a great team. The two high-five each other. But how in the world did that happen? And when my fire cannon hit your bomb, it created its own wind which spawned vertices of flames, completely changing his attack to our own. Interesting, Bomber said. Now let's finish sanitizing the bacteria, Kless said. Kless and Bomber walked slowly to the direction of the severed Ing. Her name was Brittany. In Breezewood everyone knew each other. There too had no conflict. And everyone got along. But slowly people started to go mad. What causes people to commit these random crimes, Kless asked. If there's a hint of desiring to sin, then that person can contract the possession, or if they absorb you. But what drove Brittany to want to sin? Jealousy. Brittany killed my mom because we were close. She raised me and my brother on her own, but she fell ill. I spent more time nursing her than being with her for a while. Then one night she stabbed my mother in the chest. She then was no longer herself, she was a Ing. I couldn't bring myself to do anything. I got scared and ran off to the next town. I escaped the quarantine by sneaking past the security. I had to run because no one was doing anything about them. When I went back to find my brother, it was too late. My home, my family, everything was nuked. As I watched the destruction, I witnessed the ghostly Ing still walking out of the destruction, and one of them was Brittany. I'm so sorry, Kless said as they walk. I had it rough after that, homeless, stealing and starving until Bishop found me. Are we getting close? Kless closed his eyes, entering in his infrared-like state. There are 2 lights. One of them is faint but the other one is normal. Darn, Bomber said, we might need backup. Suddenly a portal opened up and a figure started to merge from afar. It was the giant beetle Ing from before, with the severed Tengu in his insect-like hand. It's the same Ing from before, Kless said. Yes, it was too big for us to kill it, Bomber said. The beetle threw the Tengu in the portal and it closed afterward. The giant beetle man then flew toward Kless and Bomber. Here it comes, Bomber yelled. We can't take this thing down without backup. The beetle stopped flying and began to pound the ground as if it was digging, then he started to roll the dirt, magically forming a ball with its hands moving forward. Run! Kless yelled, for the beetle pushed the giant ball of ground, the size of a house, towards the two quickly. Split up, Kless said. The two dodged the attack as it crashed to a mountain nearby, leaving a trail of disturbed ground. come out, wherever you are. The ing beetle teased. It's going to kill us. Kless heard Bomber's thoughts as he hides behind some trees. Bomber, can you hear me? Kless' eyes as closed as his inner sight is focusing on his light. I can hear you, Bomber said telepathically. Run towards the bridge by the river. I have a plan. But don't shoot it. Wait for me. Okay, Kless, but man, how are you doing this? Just run. Kless with his eyes closed looked at the ing's dark light and sees him digging the ground. He's making another one. Be careful. Got it, Bomber replied telepathically. Kless starts to run through the forest but soon spots animal-like bacteria ing floating in different sizes moving towards him from within the woods. So much for stealth, Kless said as he shoots the parasites down one by one. The creatures dissolved like liquid as they die from the shots. Half of the floating ing took more shots to kill than the others, therefore forcing Kless to shoot wildly. That's the last of them. I bet that dung beetle sprung these nasty things. Another stripped parasite ing that looked like a beach ball with very small limbs attached itself to his back gracefully as soon as he lowered his gun. Darn it, Kless pointed his pistol behind his back and shot the floating ing. When it fell on the ground, melting small aura marbles emerged from its dead body. Kless turns around and picks up the aura-like crystals curiously in his hand. What are these? Kless then notices a flame-shaped crystal that was a bit bigger than the rest. When he touched the crystal, it glowed white for a second. What just came out of me? It feels like it took some of my power. Suddenly a gust of wind blew away the flaming crystal, for they were still in a windstorm. Another hovering ing charged at Kless from his left. Kless then aimed at the creature and shot it. Kaboom! When he shot the creature, Kless turned around to see a flaming aura geyser that was 7 feet tall surrounded by smoke from the explosion. The explosion lasted for 10 seconds. Kless then walked over to where the explosion was stationed and he sees the same crystal he had picked up laying on the burnt ground. Suddenly Kless felt the ground shake as the noise of the rolling dirt was coming his way. Kless looked back at the pile of crystals and took 3 of the same type of flame-shaped crystals as they glowed briefly from his touch. Kless then sprints forward towards the river as the giant ball missed him. As Kless runs, he hears Bomber shooting his gun from afar. Bomber! Kless yelled, giving away his position by accident because of the phoenix's power. Whoops, Kless said, running to Bomber's direction. There's too many of them, Bomber yelled. Hearing Bomber's voice, Kless then closed his eyes to see his aura and the many floating bacteria ing. Just run, follow me. Kless finally meets up with Bomber retreating from the monsters. After 2 minutes of running, Kless stops running and looks back with his eyes closed and sees the bacteria ing lights not chasing them but instead sees them far away. What's the plan? Bomber asked while looking at a massive whirlpool in the river. We might be able to drown it if we lure it on the bridge. If we use our powers together, we'll use the water to drown the ing instead to kill it. I doubt it will be able to swim. That's magnificent, but how? Kless pulls out the firestone. I noticed that our powers responds to our intent. When I was in the forest, I learned that I can create mines with these crystals. Awesome. You're not the only person who leveled up. Kless touched his headset with a surprised look. I forgot that these things were on. What's up, Bishop? Kless said, talking to the headset. Look up behind you. Bishop was seen in the air with a circular glider aiming downward to the bridge. Then he jumped off the glider and landed where they were located, allowing the glider to descend wherever it goes. Kless. This guy, he always make the best intros. Bomber laughed. When Bishop got up from kneeling, the team noticed a white mechanical hilt equipped on his waist. What are you doing here? Bomber said. I came to help. Bishop pulled out his hilt and centered it horizontally in front of his chest, and immediately a purple beam sword manifested from the hilt. Wow, Bomber said. Kless just stares dumbfounded. Bishop. Solid light. A energy sword, this can't be real. Bomber said. This is why I was late to the party. Wallace and I was trying to see if I could equip a gun now that I have the Phoenix's gift. I couldn't, but I managed to materialize the light into a dagger, and now a sword. Bishop looks at Kless. I assume you erased that elite germ, Lobby Porter. Kless says. We burned it with a fire whirl, but it seemed alive when its severed body was beside the beetling. We gain new strength every time we erase one of their chief's germs. Bomber. It must have died off from its injuries. Bomber, take this gun. That was Billy's gun, Bomber said. You told me before when we first met that you can produce bombs from both hands, but your left hand is way less powerful. Try shooting this gun with your left hand. Bomber took the gun and starts shooting it with his left hand. Yeehaw! It works. I have ascended. Thank you, Billy. Bishop. As I thought, we gain new strength every time we kill an elite. Thump, thump, thump. Bomber. Whoops. Here they come, Kless said. The squad looked at the same direction and noticed the hovering germs moving to the bridge, followed by the big beetle man. Kless. I'll set up the mines. Bomber, you like it up close and personal, distract it with your dual wielding, luring it backwards so I can detonate the explosives. Alright, said Bomber. I'll take care of these eyesores, Bishop said as the same blue shield shaped like a flame covered him. Let's go. Bomber runs to the front of the bridge, shooting the floating bacteria while the big beetle man walked slowly towards them. Bishop also runs to the front, slaying the Ing with his sword. Kless then runs towards the middle of the bridge where the maelstrom was nearby. I hope this works. Kless puts the 3 flame mine on the ground lined up while the sound of each step became louder and louder. Okay, there are a lot of them, Bishop said out loud while slashing Ing beside Bomber. Bomber. Just cover me, the plan is working. Bishop starts to be overwhelmed as 2 Ing latched to his leg. Suddenly the 2 Ing were shot from a distance, killing them instantly by a green light. Bomber and Bishop looked at the direction of the shot and sees Zane from afar. Zane shot again with a more thicker green light bullet at the group of Ing, and many green firework-like lights killed many of the floating Ing all at once. Nice, Bomber said while dual-wielding a scattershot. Afterwards Bomber and Bishop notices the sound of gunshots near them while they shoot. Who's shooting next to me? Bomber asked, is that Zane? Bishop stopped slashing to see why Ing was magically being killed by light bullets the color of crimson. I think someone's shooting with us. Whoever it is, I'm glad it's on outside. Bomber said while backing up slowly on the bridge. Bishop pressed the button on his headset. Kless, we are near the whirlpool, are you ready? Kless is far away on the opposite side of the bridge. Because he is taking cover, Kless, yes, run, now. And tell that mystery light to run with you or it'll get injured. Kless said with his eyes closed, viewing everyone's inner aura. Bishop. Bomber, run. If you can hear me, you have to run too or you'll die. Immediately Bishop and Bomber run towards Kless's direction. Kless with his eyes closed puts his hand on his handset, to speak, good, I can see the invisible one running too. They all are now standing next to Kless, fatigued. Here goes nothing. Do it now, Kless, Bomber said eagerly. Kless closes his eyes and sees the giant beetle's feet nearly touching the mine crystal he has set in the middle. Kless grabbed his eraser and pointed it upwards to the sky with his eyes closed. Open flames. Kless shouted passionately, loud as a megaphone, then pulled the trigger at once. In a split second, 3 fiery geysers of rainbow-like flames erupted largely from the crystals, creating a loud explosion. As the bridge crumbles and the Ing begin to fall into the maelstrom. Bishop and Bomber looked on excited and eagerly as Kless smirks with his red eyes. The giant beetle Ing growled loudly because of the pain and the bridge disconnected because of the impact. No, the beetle yelled demonically as it fell in the water, circling around close to the middle of the giant whirlpool. Flush. Kless shouted extremely loud. The beetle man tried to fly but couldn't, instead it gave up and accepted its fate. Yeehaw. Bomber cheered. Bishop turned to Kless. Kless, about that meeting. I want you to be the head of Recor. What I miss, Zane walks up to the crew. Bomber. What's up, Zane? Nice shooting. Kless, you did the scattershot. Zane, yup, thanks to you I know how to do it. I think we all learned something. Bishop, I'm proud of you all. The beetle man's gooey body floated up dead afar where the team can confirm its death. Good job, Kless. Everyone looked around. Who said that? Serene appeared out of nowhere and everyone was surprised. Bomber, gee whiz. Serene, you can turn invisible? Zane starts to laugh out loud. Kless, you knew this, Zane? We called one of our guys from Recor to drive us to your location because we never heard from Tim, who was supposed to pick us up to assist you after we killed the small fries. The coward ran away, that's why he never came, Bomber said, annoyed. I just discovered that I could disappear after I dealt with that tricky graffitiing. How serene, Bomber asked. It's like instinct. When I think I'm in trouble it happens. Kless says in his mind I knew it, somehow these guns, no, our spirits react to our will. This still feels like a fantasy dream, we've all grown, Zane said. I can do the scatter shot now by slowly pulling the trigger on the eraser. I am proud of all of you all, Bishop said. Now we're even. Stab. Bomber's back bleeds instantly from the pain as the owling starts to pull out the black hunting knife. Bomber screams in pain. Bishop summoned his sword and tries to cut the owlman, but it was too fast. Then Serene, Bomber, and Kless started to shoot the Ing flying away to the portal, which appeared close to the side of the anchor part of the bridge. Bomber falls to the ground. Bomber. Serene screamed. Bishop dropped his sword and speaks to his headset. Emergency, emergency, we need a medic ASAP. Kless in his mind, Bomber, my friend. Kless stares at Bomber's lifeless body on the ground, then charges behind the owling furiously. Zane yells, Kless, get back. Kless. Bishop yells worried. The owlman teleported away as soon as it flew into the portal. Kless stops running, standing in the opposite direction of the portal. He then climbed on top of railing, then jumps in the portal as it vanishes afterwards.